Welcome to Statesmen, the podcast where we explore all 50 states with our 5 senses. If you've come here for history, we'll give you some. But most of this is half-baked opinion that is never intended to harm or offend anyone. Today, we explore one of the most rebellious states in the contiguous 50. And not cool rebellious, like the Ramones, Green Day, or Blink-182. But the kind of rebellious that only occurs in young children when a game of freeze tag doesn't go by way of James, the schoolyard bully. After federal tax hikes on key state exports, namely cotton, were instated to fund the War of 1812, Andrew Jackson's then resigned vice president and ancestral star of HBO's hit show Sharp Objects, John C. Calhoun, decidedly changed the state's tune by decreeing the primacy of states' rights. The 8th state to ratify the Constitution, not even 40 years prior, upheld the self-proclaimed ability to nullify any federal law within the state's boundaries, setting the dominoes of a racist Confederate secession from the Union to fall in 1861. But in 1865, the states who were all along playing with the rules of freeze tag made this state eat white dog shit by soundly defeating Confederate forces and subsequently decimating the state's economy and politics. Yet, after all said and done, this goddamn Lazarus state wouldn't let up, because by 1877, white Confederate conservatives who called themselves Redeemers regained political power and, in the 1880s, instated especially severe Jim Crow laws that made almost the entire black population lose their right to vote, not to regain it until 1965, over 70 years later. Historically speaking, the Palmetto State sucks. It leaves little to be desired, but offers a gorgeous 32,030 square mile landscape and 187 miles of coastline. To quote the state's motto in Latin, Dum Spiro Spero, which translates to, while I breathe, I hope. And to put it into my own words, while this statesman breathes, he hopes South Carolina can turn it around already. So, today, we welcome you to South Carolina.
Here come them Statesmen boys again.
I'm your older statesman, Tim Ferrari, along with my junior statesman, Anthony Rossi.
What up?
And Stuart Highcar.
Oh, Carolina.
What's up, guys? How's it going?
It's going well. I had a nice week. We got to do a show together on Thursday at I.O., which was a lot of fun.
Who did?
The three of us.
Yeah, the
together.
three of us.
Oh, yeah,
we
that's
got
right.
to
We were
hop
all
on
there.
stage, do some improv for a couple of people at the I.O.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Very
and
funny. If you were one of the 15 people who made it out for that, big shout out to you.
But it's nice to be back here with you guys. Still kind of getting back into it after the holiday break, but we're going to come back strong. With one of the most challenging states to talk about as three white men.
Sure.
And, of course, this is one we have to be careful with, but it is one that kind of deserves a huge check, a huge elbow drop.
But you know what? Before we get into the physicality that we're going to have to bring to this state, I want to talk about some physicality that we were viewing on TV just before the record. I want to talk about the Titan Games.
The Titan Games. So
Titan Games.
I will say that television has hit a new golden era of TV games. We have Ellen's Game of Games.
The best.
The Titan Games with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, or
DJ.
on the show he's referred to as DJ.
It's very strange. If you're a viewer out there and you want to watch probably the coolest show and something that will make you feel bad about your body and everything you've ever accomplished, watch the Titan Games, where like doctoral candidates who have the bodies of Greek Olympians will fight over nothing other than like being able to like hug Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
And then you'll realize that you're their age and they're cut from marble and you're just a soft-bodied loser.
Yeah, honestly, I'm kind of I'm big into the revival of game. They're not quite game shows, but they're like games.
Sure,
just
it's
games in general.
It's like the American Ninja Warrior, except like this time the American Ninja Warrior has gained like 70, 85 pounds of of muscle.
Right. And then we have Ellen's Game of Games, which is just televised torture. Where Ellen is a brutal and cruel game master.
Ellen has dropped all facade of having feelings from her daytime show.
And just punishes everyone for their failure by dropping them from a height.
Just punishing 45-year-old women.
Dude, there was an episode of Ellen's Game of Games where she shot like a 68-year-old grandmother in the face with like turkey and gravy.
And then I'm sure she was like, oh, wow, what a terrible Thanksgiving. The crowd goes wild.
Yeah, we live in a weird time, but I like where TV is at right now. Everybody's embracing the ridiculous again. It's not prestige television anymore. It's just like crass, wild.
We're back in the
game.
dirt. Yeah, it's us and the hogs, and we're fighting over the.
It's like true bread and circus television.
I wanted to ask you guys on the same vein, and we can do this very quickly. But Anthony and Tim, if you had to host one of these new game shows, I mean, is there a specific thing or a specific activity that you're like, I gotta be the overseer or the king, of this?
I want to take over for Steve Harvey on The Feud.
Okay, and I see that 100. You put a damn pinky ring on one of your hands, and people are kissing that thing up and down the road. Tim, what about you? What do you think?
I've always thought about like hosting a television show, like what I would do on it, and I don't think I'd do a game. I don't think I'm a very like.
Okay, that was the question.
I'm not like a very fun guy, so I would do something along the lines of like science and space.
Okay, are you just hosting Nova?
Yeah, I'm like hosting Nova or like a Cosmos kind of a thing, but like a little bit cooler.
Yawn.
Yeah, Jesus. I gave you all the space in the world to come up with an imaginative answer, and you go right to public television?
Too much yawn, not enough brawn for
Hell
2019.
Yeah, Titan Games, baby.
All right, so maybe instead of brawn and yawn, let's do how you guys are feeling. How are you guys feeling this week?
I'm feeling much worse now that I've heard that.
What was that?
Travesty of language.
In general, though, guys, there's some snow on the ground. Winter is like really, really here, and
right. It took a while to creep up, but it came with a vengeance.
It was just dark and sad before, and now it's like the sun is like coming up and staying a little bit longer, and now we have something to show for it on the ground.
Right, and I'm not feeling as depressed as I was early on when it was just getting dark at like 3 p.m. Like at least we have a fair day, but I leveled up my equipment this Christmas, so I have a parka now. I have these brand new boots from my sister, and they just came in right at the right time.
Have you ever seen those ads on Facebook for mobile games where it's like level 1 and it's like a guy and he's in like a loincloth just like moving along, and then it says like level 15 and he's got a sword, and then it's like level 99 and he's like yoked as fuck and he has like a wolf next to him and
participating in the Titan game.
Exactly. You're on your way, I think.
Yeah, I also have leveled up in terms of like my like winter equipment. Like over like November and December, I think I was like going through like a mental instability kind of a thing that I've like put a stake into, and
you've conquered like Mount Olympus itself,
right? By putting on like 4 or 5 layers at a time every single day. So I'm not like shivering and in pain every day anymore.
I think you just need to start bulking up and just eating a ridiculous amount and going like a Michael Phelps diet. Would it pack on a little paunch?
Would it be fucking rad if like all 3 of us just got like absolutely huge?
Yeah.
I mean, after the show, we don't really have anything to do. So like after the 50, we might as well start bulking up for the Titan Games ourselves and see if we can meet up with DJ.
The 5 senses of our ripped bodies.
You're touching my pecs. You're smelling my bod.
All right. Well, we've had enough time being completely self-indulgent. Let's introduce our guest. So he's asked me to say a couple of things about him. He's an aspiring.
No, don't do it that way.
He's an aspiring mandolin player, an actor, an improviser. Please welcome to the show, Liam MacDougall.
What's up, guys?
How you doing, man?
Pretty good. I really wanted to jump in at so many points during that whole intro, like to talk about how much like I want to be in the Titan Games, because I really want to be in the Titan Games.
It's kind of crazy that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson has
unbelievable.
He's not only the most likable man in the world, but he's created like a show that I thought I was going to just be able to laugh at, and about halfway through I was like, these people are heroes.
It's so engaging. It sucks you right in.
I can totally see that, man. I gotta watch it. Now. Yeah, I mean, I love The Rock. The Rock is amazing. I also am mad at him for changing his name. He should just be The Rock for the rest of the time.
That's what I'm saying.
Why DJ? That's like such a strange...
DJ is dumb.
It's so dumb.
I don't like it.
It's what his friends get to call
Dumb
him.
Johnson.
Exactly. Dumb Johnson. I don't want that.
Yeah, I don't
boy.
Yeah, sorry, Dwayne.
We're making enemies.
Look, I mean, Dwayne...
Right off the top.
Dwayne can rekindle, like, my love and affection for him by just going by The Rock, which is a totally fine name to go by.
Well, just wait until Jumanji 2 with Danny DeVito and Aquafina, and you'll be
That's
right
true.
back on board.
That's true.
I'm psyched.
I am. I'm legitimately
I'm legitimately
am.
psyched for Jumanji 2. Even though I didn't see Jumanji 1, I heard it was really, really
Dude,
good.
Jumanji was pretty dope. It was like kind of, it was a lot of fun.
Or I guess
was super
Jumanji,
stoned.
Yeah,
But
it's like Jumanji 2. It's like
right. I guess. I don't, what the fuck? Does it have another name? Was it just called
It's,
Jumanji?
It's Jumanji.
Welcome to the jungle.
Welcome to the jungle. Because they like fun and games. Jumanji game. It's,
yeah.
Guns N' it's actually really smart.
Okay, well, let's get to the state. So, Liam, you're from South Carolina.
Yes. Well, okay. So technically, yes, I am. I'm actually. I was born in California, but I moved to South Carolina when I was 6. So I basically am just
the
from
formative
South Carolina.
years.
Yeah, exactly.
How long were you in South Carolina?
So I lived there from the age of 6 all the way until basically 24 or 25, because I went to college in South Carolina as well. I went to the University of South Carolina. So,
Go Cox.
Go Cox. Forever to thee. And so, like, because of that,
what was that?
that's like the thing that we say to each other, and we put our hand up like this, like we're holding up a goblet of
Like you're force
wine.
choking somebody.
Yeah, you're forced. Exactly, it's the same thing. And then you just you raise it your glass to say "Forever to thee," and then that's how you know you're
Interesting.
a fellow Gamecock. Yeah,
Shit. So you were there for almost a solid 2 decades.
yeah, basically
To watch the transformation of the state and yourself with it.
Yeah, transformation. I don't know, but yeah, transformation of me for sure. Yeah, I definitely grew a beard, but other than that,
I want to make a point of that because sometimes we have states where our guests are not as local as some of the others.
Sure,
sometimes
sure.
you've been there for a few years. Sometimes you haven't been there for as long.
Yeah.
But especially on a state that has such a rocky history, as we heard in Tim's intro, and had to choke down.
yes,
Yeah.
Not only
seriously.
heard in Tim's intro, but heard in school and just
I hope so.
in
I
the
was
path
like,
of life.
I did feel like I was personally getting reprimanded for that entire intro, which felt really good.
You were brought here to answer for the sins.
Yeah, right.
I'm sorry for going so hard into it, but when I was
Nah, it's all
No,
good.
fuck
I get
them.
I was on the Wikipedia, and I was,
Listen, watch it. It's like I feel like it's like one of those things where sorry.
No,
I'm
you're
too loud.
peeking out, and it's totally fine because we're excited to talk about the damn state.
Yes. All right. Cool. So like, cause that's the thing. Like, I feel like it's like my really really shitty grandpa. You know, like it's like South Carolina is honestly, yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's like my shitty grandpa who I know he's backwards. I know he's racist. I know he's a shithead. But he's still my fucking grandpa. So I'm like,
Right.
anybody else who fucking talks about my grandpa is gonna get these hands.
Yeah,
you know
it's
what
like
I mean?
it's like you can say it because
Because I'm
you have that
from there.
relationship.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Right.
I'm so glad that we managed to have you on the podcast to maybe insult or maybe hold up your grandpa today.
Yeah. Well, probably equal measure of both. We'll see.
I'm really excited. Overall, when did you move out to Chicago?
So I moved out to Chicago 2 years ago.
Okay.
I moved here in 2016.
Obviously, pretty big year for America.
Yeah. Yes, it was. It was honest. Oh my God. Yeah. So I actually moved right before the election. I moved October, like almost on my birthday.
Oh,
so October 11th.
You're talking about the election in terms of 2016. I'm pretty sure that's when the Titan games went into pre-production. Is that-
So what
I was like, I honestly for a second was like, holy shit, did I get the year wrong? When was the election?
so what brought you out to Chicago?
I came out here for acting and improv opportunities, just to kind of like scope out the scene, see what it was like to like kind of live in a big city and yeah, kind of test my mettle, and not only test my mettle, but also learn at some of these really awesome schools and stuff like that to get a better education on the stuff that I really cared about.
well, you say a bigger city. Where in South Carolina you hail from?
Yeah, so I'm from Spartanburg, South Carolina, which is in the upstate of the state. So South Carolina is generally broken up into 3 sections. It's the upstate, the Midlands, and then the low
lowlands.
country. Yeah, they call it the low country. So like I'm from the upstate because it's basically at the foothills of the mountains of the Blue Ridge Mountains. So that's where I'm from. It's a small town. That's not true. It's like a really small city is basically what I would call it now.
Okay.
It's like because it's not like, for example, we have like 3 Starbucks. You know, I feel like you can tell
That's pretty
how
good.
big a city is by how many Starbucks it has.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So it's a 3 Starbucks town, which is pretty huge.
Yeah.
in terms of that.
That's not bad because
Yeah.
that means that every citizen of Spartanburg has like at least one Starbucks that they're like,
Exactly.
I don't go to that.
I don't go to that one. They don't put up the menu the way I like it. Yeah, exactly.
So besides like the Starbucks that you have,
Yeah.
what are like some like defining differences between South Carolina and your move to Chicago, whether that's people or scenery or what have you?
Right. So lots and lots more people. It was it's not that there wasn't people in Spartanburg, especially because like Spartanburg actually has like 3 or 4 colleges in the town. But it's just they're small colleges. They're all like little liberal arts school type of things and mostly private. But the biggest thing was, one, there's public transportation, which doesn't basically exist in my town.
Yeah.
There's like a bus, but I have no idea how it works. No idea whatsoever.
Yeah.
So yeah, the public transportation for sure. Literally just the size of the scale of the city is insane. Like the fact that you can look at the city from a distance and be like, wow, look at all of that city.
Look at all of those Starbucks.
Exactly. Look at all those Starbucks. So because you can do that, like that's something I could never do where I'm from. And because it's really like really spread out. There's also like roads are paved here, and which is really great.
Jesus.
Like every road is paved, not half of them. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, and I think also culturally, there's just a lot more to do here. Spartanburg basically shuts down at 10 p.m. Like after 10 p.m. That's actually changing over the years. That is actually is one of the things that I have noticed about my home state and specifically my home city, is that it is kind of growing in that way, which is really cool. And I'm really glad to be able to talk about that in a Chicago podcast. But like, yeah, it's cool.
Like young people are moving into the place?
Yes, young people are sticking around because the thing
Oh.
is, there's lots of kids who are there because they're coming to the colleges. Like and they're
Right.
really prestigious. Like Wofford is like
sure.
one of the best schools in the state. And like, so there's a lot of really good schools there. It's just kids are coming into the city and then leaving immediately.
Right.
They're like, oh, well, let's go to Greenville, which is like the neighboring city that's like a lot bigger than ours and like is kind of looking like it'll be like the Charlotte of South Carolina type of thing.
Ooh, an up-and-coming city.
City.
I'll keep an eye on them.
Yeah, keep an eye on
Wait for the
Greenville.
draft this year. Anything could happen.
It's true.
I have a bit of a rock in my shoe, guys. I was feeling it. I didn't want to stop you on your momentum
No.
there. You said that this is a Chicago podcast.
Oh.
I want to make sure everyone out there knows that this is an American podcast.
Oh, excuse me.
We are not tied down to one state, one
Right.
city, one people, one idea, one creed.
Other than American.
Yes. Well, that's okay. So there is one creed.
It's important to distinguish that we do not celebrate the hit HBO shows Sharp Objects Calhoun Day. We don't celebrate that here. We are not.
Yes.
I thought for sure we had got away from your shirt.
This is a podcast. This is a podcast for the human race.
That's right.
Yes,
That's right.
absolutely.
You know?
And as long as you bleed red, white, and blue, man, come and listen.
Come and listen. Come and join. Come and be a part. Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah.
So I want to take that spirit of unity and kind of kick us into our segments today.
Sure, let's kick into the segments. I like that. So, as always, we break down the states with our 5 senses, and to kick that off, we'd like to start out with the smell segment, which I, as the elder statesman, am permanently in charge of and will never not be in charge of it. So while I go retrieve the smell, I'll only be like 2 minutes. You guys can play a little bit of a game.
Oh, boy. So I have the game slot this week. Nobody's in the penalty box, and I was graced with the honor of doing it. And I'll be honest, I thought it was going to be a little later in the show, so I thought we'd have some energy going in.
Well, listen, man. After the success of Oklahoma Simpson, last week.
Here's the thing. I'm glad you brought up Oklahoma Simpson because this game is called South Carolina Dunham.
Oh, no.
So,
Stu, you were warning me for days about this.
In this game, I'm going to take the top 4 cities in South Carolina by population. So that being Columbia, Charleston, North Charleston, and Mount Pleasant. I know some people combine those Charlestons. They're technically separate.
Yes.
And we are going to categorize them as one of the 4 main girls from Girls.
Oh, no.
This is pretty exciting because I know all 3 of you guys are huge fans of the HBO series Girls.
I've seen 2 episodes, and I remember...
I saw the first season. I actually saw the first season.
And Tim, how many seasons of Girls have you seen?
I think legitimately 1, but I couldn't name a single character on it.
Oh, that's totally okay. That's totally okay.
Adam is Adam Driver.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes.
That's good to know.
Keep that in mind.
Of course, you would know the man's name, Liam.
Liam. I think. No, I'm wrong. I don't. Shit, you're right. I don't have any excuse for that.
Okay, so this first city, guys, it's Columbia. It's the capital, of course. Biggest city in South Carolina. And it's a city on the come up, greatly associated with its Museum of Art. Which of the 4 main girls? Do you guys need a reminder of who the 4 main girls are?
Yes, please.
Yeah, definitely. I just said I don't remember any of their names.
It looked like you were about to be like.
I remember
yes,
that one is
them.
Brian Williams' daughter and one is David Mamet's daughter.
Allison Williams.
Yeah, we can start with Allison Williams' character, Marnie. She's
Marnie.
the domineering, overlane,
That's
kind of a hard ass who pursues a career in marriage and music. But when that fails, she moves upstate to help raise Hannah's baby.
Kind of a hard ash.
Yeah, kind of a hard ass.
She does music later?
She does music later in those seasons, but you would know that if you were a Girls fan. Guys, let's see. Who else do we want to know? Jessa. How about Jessa? You want to learn about Jessa?
Okay, also, is she the one who was like blonde, right?
Jessa?
Yeah. That's the blonde. Is that the blonde one?
Oh, boy.
Is that Zosha Mamet?
Here's the
That's
thing.
No.
No. Jessa
is
Jemima Kirk.
Right. She's blondish?
Honestly, maybe. I'm ready to reveal I have not seen a single episode of Girls.
Oh, amazing. All right. I thought you were coming from it.
Why don't you just give us the names and we'll pick it.
Okay, so there's Jessa, Marnie, Shoshana, and Hannah.
Yes. And Hannah.
Okay,
The
Shoshana's
4 main
Mamet.
girls, right?
And Hannah's Lena, right?
Yes,
All right.
that's right. Carolina.
Okay.
So Columbia, a city on the come up, greatly associated with its art museum. It's the #1 attraction in the city. Which of the 4 girls do you guys think it is? And there is a correct answer.
Marnie, because there's a little bit of art in there. It's on the come up.
Okay.
Nah, she's too nuts. I think it's Jessa.
Jessa, interesting. Tim?
Wait, what was the question again?
Oh my God. Columbia.
What's
Which
the
of
game
the
again?
4 girls is Columbia?
Okay. I'm gonna go with Shoshana because it's nice and pretty. It embodies that.
Anthony, do you remember when you said that Marnie was kind of artsy?
Yeah, you said she gets into singing later in the show.
She doesn't just get into singing. In season 2, she has an incredible job at an art gallery.
Wow.
That's why Columbia is definitely Marnie.
Wow, I'm so glad we got to the bottom of that.
You ready to move on?
Yeah.
Charleston, guys.
Oh.
Great city. Lots of
All right.
history recently, but who do you guys think it is in the 4 main leads of Girls?
Lots of history recently is a
We're
really
stepping over it. We're looking
inappropriate
just
way.
like Lena Dunham. I just want to kind of whitewash this and let's just move on.
Just go to
guys.
the front.
Charleston, known for its great bar and speakeasy culture.
Jessa.
Which of the 4 girls? Jessa. Interesting.
Because I think wasn't she like always? I always thought of her as like really mysterious on a show.
Ooh,
I was
mysterious.
I thought she was like really cool and like couldn't really nail her down, which was really
I have her
nice.
described as a global citizen of British origins. She's
Yeah.
boho and brash.
That's it.
What do you think Charleston is, Anthony?
Who's the biggest drinker on the show?
Uh-oh. It's Jessa.
Jessa? Then I'll go Jessa.
Okay, Tim.
I'm also gonna go Jessa.
Guys, you all got it right because of course Charleston is Jessa because she went into rehab for substance abuse issues in season 3.
Oh shit.
Right. I mean, no spoilers, guys, of course, but everybody out there has seen every episode of Girls.
I would like to point out that this is the second game that we've had that is like a weird reference to an HBO show none of us have watched. After Tremay's inclusion.
Now Girls.
May was the first one? Oh, that's incredible.
Soon enough we'll get to Luck, baby. We're gonna skip North Charleston because of course it's Shoshana. She leaves the girl in her past just like North Charleston is trying to leave Charleston in its past. Now, our last one, Mount Pleasant, South Carolina. A beautiful city with a military history. Which of the
Wait,
four...
you just said that Shoshana was North Charleston, so there's only one left, right?
Who?
Hannah.
Hannah.
So you guys all think Mount Pleasant is Hannah?
I think Mount Pleasant is Adam.
Anthony is correct.
Oh my God! Wow.
A city with a long, city with a long military
hate this
history.
bullshit.
Adam Driver was a Marine.
Yeah, not the show! All right, this is...
Anyway, that was South Carolina Dunham.
Wow. That really, I mean, so Stu has been prefacing this for the past couple of days as
I've
one of the
been
worst,
worried.
as one of the worst games that we've ever played, and I think he's proven that pretty successfully.
All right, dude, I'm
I
going to
was a
stamp
little
your
worried.
ticket now because next week I think you're in the penalty box.
Yeah, yeah, officially in the penalty box.
No!
That's incredible.
So we're gonna move on to the smell segment. This is the regular segment, as I said before. So I've decided to do a little something different this time. Normally I bring in like a candle or like a food that is representative that has like a strong aroma to it. But I decided to play a little science and see what I could reduce and bring out the aroma by just cooking it in some boiling water. So I'm gonna pass this hot pot around. It is hot, so don't touch the pot, Anthony. And just give it a whiff and see if you can figure out what it is. Don't look inside of it. But
I'm a little disturbed, a little intrigued because you're holding up a fork that has visible ash on it. So
Yeah, it smells burnt. That's all I can think of. And I'm honestly like, I'm basically going at this point like, everyone's shitting on South Carolina so far. Maybe they just like burnt a bunch of shit and we're just like, South Carolina's a bunch of ash bullshit.
So
It
Anthony,
should be a fire.
it smells
should
like
be a fire pit.
I'm smelling it with my eyes closed. It smells like a pie. In
Okay.
in the pot.
yeah. In
So,
what kind of a sense?
I don't know, like a fruity sense, like a burned fruit sense.
Sure.
So,
Maybe,
Tim, are you trying to are we trying to figure out what's in this reduction?
Yeah, see if you can kind of like pick out what's in the reduction, because some of it is inspired by South Carolina and some of it's just like, I want to maybe see if I can elicit any sense memories out of it.
Okay.
Vaguely citrusy, maybe.
Sure.
I
Okay.
actually was getting, I'm getting some like peach and rhubarb. Are
Okay.
two scents that I
Yeah,
got.
yeah. Peach, I feel like, is definitely in there.
Okay.
That's
Stu?
something I smelled.
Oh, there is
Ew, oh my
Ew.
god.
Just pulled a very long hair out of the pot.
Which clearly belongs to none of us,
Yeah.
which is very frightening. Oh wait, no, actually, that might be
No,
Tim's
it could
hair.
be. It could certainly be my hair. Of
course it's your
my
hair.
Tim's got the flow.
After a smell of the pot, I didn't think I was gonna find it appetizing because it does look very
Yeah.
burned. But I'll say,
It smells really good.
And then you pulled the
smells-
hair out of there and you
Yeah.
were appetized.
and I was absolutely donged, man. It smells kind of nice. It smells like I imagine it would be like if I went on a camping trip with like herbal essence people. They would like throw stuff in the fire because
Yeah.
it smells outside, but it also smells really like Bath and Body Works. You know,
So
This pot smell outside.
this pot smell outside.
Okay, yeah. Well,
Wait,
what
I
were
was
you going to
just-
say, Liam?
I was just gonna add, yeah. I mean, as far as like a sense memory, Jesus Christ, you guys.
Sorry, we're freaking out.
It's all right. It's all right. For me, what I noticed too, because like, especially with sense memory, it honestly reminds me, and I know this is gonna sound so cliche, but like, it reminds me of when I used to get peach cobblers and rhubarb like pie as a
fuck
kid.
yeah.
Like I straight up got those as a kid. Like those, like my neighbors. Well, because like we're not natively Southern, right? But like all of our neighbors, obviously, everyone that we knew was. So like whenever I'd go to my best friend's house or whatever, they would always have these pies and shit that the mom would cook.
Put on the
So-
windowsill and the
Fuck yeah,
cartoon
dude.
neighbor
And
would float over.
No. Cartoon bears would float over. Thank you very much.
A kindly bum would smell it from across the railroad.
Yeah, exactly.
Honestly, I can't believe that. This is like, I think the first time that
pulled off a
that we've pulled
successful-
off a successful
Borat
smell.
quote, great success. Do you want to tell us what's in it?
Yeah, so
Very nice.
you got it. You were the only one to get it right. That there is peaches in there. I
agreed.
Yeah, you agreed. You didn't get it though.
I would say I got that right.
I mean, after somebody else did.
I was on the winning team.
Yeah, for sure.
Sure, bandwagon just fuck. Okay, but I got dried white peaches.
Okay.
I threw them into a pot, and then I just decided to add lemon in there.
Oh, okay.
And that's
Oh.
and
So
that's
somebody got that citrus. You said citrus.
yeah.
didn't
Okay, and yeah, I wasn't right. Definitely not.
So yeah, I just threw those in boiling water and then boiled all the water out. And then I guess it burnt a little bit while I was out of the room.
Is lemon related to South Carolina?
I'm not gonna lie, I don't think so.
No, it definitely is.
But like
the sour past.
or like Sour Patch, sure.
Or like lemon in some nice sweet tea.
God.
Hey, do
Yeah.
you think
Lemon and sweet tea, that's a real thing, yeah. I mean, not really though. Like it's not really like it's like super old South. Like people in the South don't like we obviously we love sweet tea and iced tea, but like it's never people don't use lemon in that shit.
Too busy making the pies.
Truly.
too busy making the pies?
Smell outside. Pies smell outside.
Okay, so we need to find some sort of system to rank this smell. Was it successful or not? And to do that, I think we should use, of course, the 4 main girls from Girls. So out of the 4 girls, how many of the girls would you give this smell?
I'd give that 4 out of 4 girls. It was really
Wow.
solid.
That's a full cast.
That's a
full
full
cast,
That's
baby.
a full girls cast. Full girls season, I would even say.
Congratulations, Tim.
Thank you. I'm honestly surprised. So I'm not going to revel in my victory too long. So let's move on to our next regular segment. I don't know who's been nicer to me, but Stu, that was such a grave game that I think I have to pass it over to Anthony's visual segment.
Okay, let's dive into some sites. I will say this was one of the most challenging slideshows to prepare. There's not a lot of imagery. Every time I would search for one of the cities, it was mainly like Zillow listings that would pop up. So it was just photos of residential homes. And I was like, I can't use any of this shit. So I had to hunt very hard. I'm warning you up top, there will be some fuzzy photos. I could not control that. It was just limited options. So
I've been meaning to ask you something for a while, Anthony. Do you know about like changing the search options on Google Images?
yeah, man, but I have like, 30 slides in this one, and I was not going to dig that hard.
30 slides?
We should get moving. We got to get moving.
All right.
So it says South Carolina on our first slide.
I am so excited.
Oh,
Anthony,
by
I gotta
the
say
way-
I'm privileged. Thank you for all
this
the
is
slides.
a beautiful slideshow. And by the way, listener, we're trying something new. If you have Instagram on your phone, I believe we're going to be uploading the slideshows as a little. Is it called? What is it? Memory?
Good catch. Yeah, so on our Instagram at Statesmen Podcast, there is the slideshows will be on our our little highlight memories. So if you go onto our Instagram account, you'll be able to see these.
Yeah, you'll see the name of the state and just click on through with us, and the podcast gets 10 times better, which is crazy because it's already at 4 out of 4 girls, baby. Let's get into this thing, Anthony.
All right,
Very
so
nice.
nothing fancy with the first slide, just a welcome to South Carolina. Here we have the state outline. What does that look like to you? It's kind of triangular, like an upside down triangle, I guess is
like
the
a
closest, but there's definitely some rough, gritty edge.
Yeah.
I would say that this kind of looks like a nibbled on Dorito chip.
Okay, yeah, I guess it kind of does look like that, Anthony.
I'll give it to you.
It's
I
an
heard
interpretation.
Liam did mention a diamond, and I think it does sort of look like a diamond that only part of it has been hewn. You know,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
you can still see the blood diamond part of it, but
Yeah,
like
you can see the ore wrapped
Yeah.
around the rest.
the upper eastern part of the state is certainly Zales, and the bottom left is like I don't know, Sierra Leone. So.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Christ,
honestly
man.
looks like I haven't thought this before, but it looks like a very tiny, like Africa, like the continent.
Okay.
Wow, isn't that?
That is
Not
not
right.
not right.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe
No,
not.
South
All right.
Carolina.
Okay.
Listen, I'm from there, okay? So
That's true. If anyone can say that, that's Liam. South
because
Carolina.
he's racist.
the white
It's
guy,
fair.
the white guy from South Carolina.
It's
can
fair.
say
We can say it. South Carolina is the new Africa.
No, I don't
No,
stand
no,
by that.
Okay.
No.
Well,
I
let's
also
move
don't.
on to the next
Wait,
slide.
hold on. Oh,
Huh?
I didn't get to say anything. So
We have 30 slides, Tim. What does it look like to you?
it looks like a pelican with its swoop big.
What the hell?
Okay, so you look at the top portion on the northeast part, and that's
Okay.
like where its like head and brains are.
I kind of see.
And
it.
then
I'm
you go
following
to
you.
and then you go to the eastern side, and like the more rigid part, it's definitely its beak. and then down below it's engorged swoop.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, so I get to
see it.
Yeah, I have
That-
a little bit of creative input on this
Out of every
podcast.
out of every
Jesus Christ.
interpretation that we had, I think that Tim's was the most offensive.
I think we can all agree.
Let's
Fucking
move
next
on.
slide.
Here we have the state flag. We have the crescent moon on an indigo background, and a white palmetto tree, which is basically a small palm tree. And this is actually, the whole flag is a reference to Colonel William Moultrie's flag during the Revolutionary War. The palmetto was added in 1861. These are both references to when Moultrie defended Sullivan's Island in South Carolina, and apparently these trees played a crucial defense from the cannon fire. So,
If I'm not mistaken, they were like firing on the shore with cannons from boats, but then once people started trying to come ashore, they would shake the trees and the coconuts would fall on their heads.
Oh my god.
Stop.
I really thought that you knew it was
Yeah,
going to be, and I was like, I'm very impressed, Stuart.
I had a pretty strong walk up on that one.
Yeah, you did. That was really strong.
I think that when you pack a coconut into a cannon, it has a pretty zesty impact.
Let's
Wait. I actually, can I really quickly,
please.
like, one of my, also to add as an addendum to that, the cool thing about that is that what actually happened and why they were successful is because the cannons would actually bounce off of the trees, because the trees were so spongy and had so much were able to
Shape,
vibrate
yeah.
so much that the cannons would just hit them and bounce off instead of breaking through. So that was pretty awesome. I thought that was actually a really cool.
That's
little,
fascinating.
Yeah,
That's a good thing to know if I'm ever under cannon fire on like a coast. Is that like
you can get one of these, you can get a bunch of these trees.
and you're essentially invincible.
That's exactly right.
This is for those at home. This is a gorgeous flag. I think I will always stand up for a flag that is simple in its design and does not have the name of the state printed on it.
That's such an advantage that this one has. It's simple and it doesn't label itself. It's through association with its history that you associate it with the state. It's not obvious.
Yeah.
It's not face value.
I will also say good on them for still having the crescent moon on there. I feel like if there was any state that I would believe to like be anti-Muslim in some way and like take it off their flag, I would not doubt it, but like it's still on there and it looks really cool.
I love our flag. I think it's one of our the few bright spots in our state. I really love our flag. I agree with you. I think the simplicity is really great. I think it's just like solid graphic design, if you guys know what I'm talking about. So like because it really is evocative. It doesn't do too much. It doesn't need that much to get its point across. And it's super recognizable. Anyone who sees this, they know exactly what they're looking at. They're not going to confuse it for anything else.
I will. The only thing that takes this away from me,
Here we go.
and I'm not totally sold on this flag.
You're on thin ice, Tim.
The moon really takes me out of it.
Really?
I don't know why it's on there, and it kind of shifts like the weight of the image to the top left.
Well, this is also, to be fair, really quickly, to protect my grandfather.
Sure.
I think the thing is too, the way that this image is blown up, it's not entirely accurate. Like if you
Right.
actually look at the flag has the first of all the palmetto tree is huge in the center, but the moon is way off it's like in the corner.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
it doesn't look exactly
Maybe it's
like
the
this.
source material that we're looking at right here, but
Yeah, I get what you mean.
as of this image right now, not totally sold.
Fair enough.
Just like the general himself, I'm willing to stand and defend this flag. Let's move forward. Wait,
right.
hold on. What side was that general? Who was he fighting?
it was the Revolutionary Wars.
Okay,
War.
cool.
Yeah, we're
Never
fighting
mind,
the British,
never
baby.
mind.
For
Yeah,
free.
you're
You're
good.
good.
Great.
Yeah,
Next
yeah.
slide.
This is the yellow jessamine. This is the state flower. Jessamine. Liam's helping me out by taking a look at that. Did I get that pronunciation
Yeah,
correct?
you got it.
Jessamine.
Jessamine, baby.
So
You got to make sure you
it's
get the
a-
Jessa.
It's a nice yellow flower, but it's not that exciting. It just looks like any yellow flower to me.
It looks like an appetizing flower to me if I were a little hungry hummingbird.
Yeah, that was awful.
Tim's on
That
a
was
big.
really awful.
Tim's having a big bird day here.
Big bird day.
I like this flower. I think it's fairly simple. It looks like a flower, and I also think that if I saw this in the wild, and like I knew what I was looking for, I could immediately identify it. Like it does pop out, so I'll give it that.
It smells really good too.
Hey, that you know what? Always props to a flower that smells good, because have you ever put your nose in a rose and you're like, this smell blows?
Nice. I really was hoping you were going to finish that one
Yep,
up.
but I stomped it into the ground.
Fucking bars, dude.
I'm barred out right now. What's the next slide, Anthony? Unless you want to tell us more about the jessamine.
I don't have more about the jessamine, but Tim, don't get too excited. This next slide is a bird.
Uh-oh.
Foaming.
The Carolina Wren. Sorry.
Yeah, oh, no, go ahead.
The Carolina Wren.
Yeah, the Carolina Wren. Just a brown little bird.
Yep.
Kind of looks like any bird that you'd see fluttering around on like the outdoor deck of a Buffalo Wild Wings. Mm-hmm. Just hopping around the pavement.
Sure,
to
going
South Carolina?
around. Yeah, you said that's the only place you can find this
That's the only place
wren.
you can find this bird.
Yep. It's not that exciting, but it is kind of cute. It's got like a nice little head.
Speaking of Buffalo Wild Wings, honestly, if you cover this part, it kind of looks like a chicken wing.
No, straight up. It looks like a chicken nugget. Like, it looks like you should just
Isn't
be
that
able to
great?
fry that bitch up and eat it like immediately.
Sorry, Carolina Wren, but you've been cooked. We're cooking on the podcast today. I like this bird. It's fine. It's a little too plain for me, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's a really plain bird.
I prefer people to not go too big with their birds on state bird, but this is maybe a little bit of an overcorrection in the other direction.
I love when people are bold with their bird choice. I think it shows a lot about the gumption of the state.
Anthony-
Risque.
Yeah,
Because
and-
this isn't a sexy bird, and I'm horny for birds, so.
Jesus Christ. All right.
Tim's Googling Big Bird right now.
Big bird knees,
Well,
specifically.
it's also because and I honestly just
Wiki
as a quick
feed
thing,
Big Bird.
Jesus Christ.
Let's move
Liam,
on. What up?
Liam was
Hold on,
about
yeah.
to say something hopefully interesting.
I was actually just going to say that the fact is, like, I think ultimately the reason why this bird was chosen is simply because it is probably the most ubiquitous bird in the state. Like it is,
okay.
it's just everywhere.
Yeah.
It's all
That
fucking
makes
over the
sense.
place.
Totally fair.
And
then.
it looks like a tiny ball. Like you'll see it all over the place, and whenever you see a tiny ball flying, you're like, oh, that's a Carolina Wren.
I remember tales in the South Carolina summer when boys would pitch these wrens back and forth like baseballs.
Let's move on to the next slide.
Okay, so the next
you've been to
slide.
South Carolina?
The next slide is Columbia, South Carolina, the capital and the most populous city.
And I think it's the Marnie of the group.
Yeah, and this this has the Finlay Park water fountain right front and center with a little bit of the skyline in the background, a little decent amount of green patch park in there, but then there is a fairly standard city in the background. No skyscrapers, but definitely some big, large office buildings.
Yeah, that's about all you get out of Columbia. It's not got anything that's gonna really blow you away as far as like it's like silhouette, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Or what do you
skyline.
skyline? Yeah,
Yeah.
the skyline's not gonna blow you. It's not recognizable.
So this is more of like it's a little bit of an upgrade from Spartan Bird.
Yeah, totally. It's
For-
definitely an upgrade.
For Starbucks?
It's probably a 6 or 7 actually.
6 or 7.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got a fair amount of Starbucks. And the thing is, again, a big thing that helps the city is the fact that it's got it's the capital, but 2, it's also got the University of South Carolina, which is the biggest school in the state
Gotcha.
by a relatively large margin. So, yeah,
Well, it's very pretty, and that water fountain is is moving.
Yeah,
it's also known as the armpit of the South of South Carolina because it's located in a valley. So it's the hottest. It's basically the hottest area of South Carolina.
Muggy.
Okay. Yeah.
Super hot.
Swampy.
Like it can get up like the actual real feel can get up to like 120 sometimes.
Oh my god.
It's fucking
Normally, I
ridiculous.
love a good real feel, but this is too much for even me.
telling
All right, next slide. Okay, so this is something that was a hole in my research. I did not realize that North Charleston and Charleston were 2 separate places.
2 separate places,
I
2
thought
separate girls.
I thought it was I thought it was one place, and it was like the north end of the city. So this is North Charleston. I put it down in my notes as just being Charleston. So we will not see an actual Charleston photo.
Wow. And that, of all the
really?
places to forget,
Right. We can maybe tack one in, but that's on me. I'm sorry about it. let's
good,
enjoy.
dog.
Let's enjoy this north.
You still got the bridge. You're good.
Yeah.
You still got the bridge.
That's probably
Right.
okay.
That's the Cooper River Bridge.
And
You're
then we
good.
have a nice steeple, a lot
Yeah.
of bushy trees.
Yeah.
It's not really much of a skyline. It's more just like a smattering of trees and then a couple nice steeples.
Well, North Charleston is really big on the historical part of the city. So like, you honestly probably got the best part of.
It is picturesque. It
That
has
may
like
be
kind of a vintage
Yeah.
style to it. These buildings and their architecture are kind of boxy, but they also have these nice like southern style windows.
It
Yeah,
looks
they're all colonial,
very
basically.
colonial, and I appreciate that. I kind of love that Ben Franklin feel. You're on the water, and everything looks like there's someone hewing socks or whatever inside, and that's really cool. I like that. This place seems nice.
I want to point out one thing before we move on, is that there's this one roof that I'm particularly drawn to in the bottom left-hand corner. It's got like a red trim that I've literally never seen on a roof before.
I think that's
dude.
pretty cool.
That
That's
actually,
cool. It's fucking badass.
Yeah, it actually is on a lot of houses, especially in Charleston.
That's
It's like
so
that
cool.
colonial style is like, it's really ubiquitous down there. It's crazy.
Tim pretty much, and this is just for the listeners at home, but Tim will never miss an opportunity to point out good trim.
No, absolutely not.
As you can see in the picture too, there is a cruise ship in the background. Who's cruising Carolina?
Yo,
way?
dude, hey, it's not for that. Straight up, I took a cruise that left from Charleston. It's actually it's just the Carnival Cruise Lines.
Right,
That's
it's
one
just
of
a starting point.
It's just one of the starting points
because of the
but-
big harbor.
And I'm sorry I know that you were probably just making a joke, and I just shit on your joke, like shit all over it.
No, I was genuinely curious.
yeah. But so anyway, that's actually that may have been the exact harbor that we left from. To be
Oh,
totally
sweet.
honest.
Is that your ship?
Yeah, that was my ship. That's the Carnival. Smattering? I don't know. What do they call
the
those?
SS Smattering.
We'll be aboard the Smattering today. Disgusting.
Let's move on to the next slide here. Here we have Rock Hill.
Yes.
And it looks awful.
Yeah.
It is. It's a shot of a fountain, and then there's nothing happening in the background. Just flat and boring and brown.
Honestly, we've been rating like city sizes with Starbucks, but I don't know if there are any Starbucks located in this area.
You know what? All right, so this is the weird. This is one of the. So that actually, all right, this is super weird because there's actually a lot of cities in South Carolina that are like this, where they're. This is. I don't even know where you found this. I've never been to this place in Rock Hill. I don't know where the fuck you found this photo.
Look,
but
it was buried between a bunch of photos of houses that you might want to rent or buy. But this image is enough to steer you away. It's a warning.
Yeah, no. Okay, so and basically what I call them is like they're like cookie cutter cities where like they all they basically have are all these fucking food chains. They're just like, it's just a bunch of chains all in one city. And it's like these like higher upscale chains, but they're all still chains. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a way to fool people into thinking they're living in a nice place when really it's incredibly cheap to just like take all the plans you've already built from one place and build it again somewhere right next door.
That's
right?
exactly right.
I bet if you drove 15 miles from this location, you'd find another park with the exact same layout.
Exactly. You might be right. Honestly, I've never seen this park in my life, so I don't know anything about this. I've been to Rock Hill a couple times. It's also got the Six Flags, which is why people tend to go there. Fuck yeah, dude.
Fuck yeah! Oh!
You guys want to go? No. So anyway, it's that's like the big reason why people even go in the first place. But it's also probably part of the reason why it's become one of these cookie cutter cities.
Well, if you're from Rock Hill and you have a problem with the way that we're describing your city, go ahead and hashtag us on Twitter as Rockin' Sock'em Hill, because you'll fight us.
Yeah.
You're a hashtag rock shill if you're gonna promote Rock Hill.
Oh, you got him.
Gotcha, bitch.
What's on the next slide, Anthony?
Here we have Hilton Head Island with the Harbor Town Light, the iconic lighthouse that's in candy cane colors rising over the marina here. You can see a couple boats that are just like single family boats.
My single family yachts.
That's not a yacht.
Yes, it
Those
is.
are all
That's a
yachts.
speedboat.
Anthony.
Okay, they're far away enough to look. That's a motorboat.
Single family boats, too. It's like,
You can
these
fit
are
a
all,
single-
a couple of families live here on the marina.
And here we have the kitchen, and this is the 3 bedrooms, 1 for the kids, and an office.
It's so perfect. It's like, what does a multi-family boat look like?
A pontoon.
building.
A pontoon. A long pontoon or a barge.
Oh god, that hurt. That was really good.
Okay.
Listen, man.
Family boat.
All right,
I'm
let's
gonna
move
use that.
away from the boats.
I love this shot because
Yeah.
I think
It's
that
a good
lighthouse is beautiful.
Yeah, it's
it
gorgeous.
looks like Waldo.
Okay. Also, straight up, you guys, I just want to really quickly point out that I didn't realize how much I knew about my state until I walked in here today and started looking at these photos. I'm like, I know all this stuff. I know
Hell
what
yeah.
this is.
It feels
Absolutely.
great.
Because like the thing is, so Hilton Head, I've been to Hilton Head a lot, and they have one of the best state parks in the state. It's really beautiful, and they actually have like in Hilton Head, they have this in the state park. There's actually an old distillery that's been like broken. It's like a broken down distillery from like way back in like bootlegger times.
Oh wow.
And it's like really badass because it's just like off in the swamp because like they were trying to evade authorities, but now this like park is built
Right.
around it, so like you can just go out there and like you could be the only person out there and you're just like hanging out in a distillery. It's really cool.
That sounds like a really great way to be stabbed to death in the middle of a swamp.
Yeah,
know, straight up.
You
That's
could be
true.
the only one out there
I was
for
reading.
miles.
I was
awesome.
actually reading about the swamps of South Carolina, and if you go too far into a particular swamp, you might get chased out by an ogre.
Jesus, shut the fuck up. We're moving on. What
Wait, and one more
Oh
thing.
my
just-
God. All right, we're
I'm
going
so
back.
sorry. I know. I'm probably the worst person to have 30 slides for, but so this is also amazing because there's actually a really famous restaurant in Spartanburg called the Beacon, and the Beacon very specifically as part of its logo has this on the logo, the lighthouse. So yeah. Anyway, let's move on.
So this is a big, an iconic piece of architecture, but this next photo looks equally as iconic. Where's this?
This is Myrtle Beach,
Oh, no.
the
Myrtle.
infamous and famous Myrtle Beach. It's got the nice pastel buildings rising in the background, a giant Ferris wheel, and then just beach tourist trash like lining the waves.
real photo?
Instead of yeah, that's a real photo.
Yeah, I mean, all this like whole skyline is probably just resorts and
Yeah.
just
Oh,
fun
They're
shit
all
to do.
hotels. Yeah.
It's that is truly like the anus of
The Jersey
South
Shore.
Carolina. It's the
Jersey
straight
Shore
up.
of
It is the
North
Jersey
Carolina-
Shore.
or
There's
South
all
Carolina.
as many like shark open mouth like board short stores that could possibly exist. Or
like when you walk
into
you
the-
walk by a store and they have a big shark's jaw and you're like, take a picture inside of it.
Oh no! Or even that, like you literally walk into the entrance through the fucking shark's mouth.
Scary.
Yeah,
And lots
yeah.
I'm imagining
Lots
lots
of
of nipple piercings and tribal tattoos.
Oh yeah, dude.
I'm into this.
Yeah.
Backwards baseball caps.
Oh yeah, dude.
Look, I know we're shitting on the crowd, but if you have 3 to 4 kids and 2 of them are yours and you're just trying to like have a pretty good summertime, like bring your family to Myrtle Beach. There's no reason you can't do that.
I feel like if you
want
brought your
tetanus,
kid,
maybe?
I feel like if you brought your kid to this beach, they would step on a used condom.
Or
That's
a
what I'm s-
needle.
or a
It's-
fucking
if you're
get
in the
tetanus.
I
I'm
think
saying.
if you're in the water and you stepped on a used condom, I don't think you would be able to tell the difference.
Oh, a jellyfish.
Yeah, exactly. Go,
Well, it's also like if I'm gonna be stepping on a used condom in the water, it's like walking through like pee, you know, in the water. It's like, whatever.
whatever.
yeah, we all throw our condoms in the water. What's
Where
next in
else
this?
you gonna put it?
Please move on.
What is this slide?
As you can see, it's a disposed used condom floating in the waves.
No, it's not.
What is
Okay,
this?
all right. No, this is Buford. It's just a shot of a small town. I thought that I should include this slide because it does kind of represent that southern feel.
Antebellum.
Yeah, there's the antebellum kind of households lining a row here, but then there's like a weeping willow and a woman riding by on a
Spanish
bicycle.
moss. The Spanish moss up there.
Oh yeah,
You know, there's something that I've been noticing about a lot of architecture, and this also goes back to Sharp Objects, the HBO hit show. What's with all like the wraparound porches that like the antebellum seems to have?
Really popular. So basically the reason why that they did this is because, and this might be, I may be wrong about this, but it's basically like a lot of plantation style homes had these wraparound porches because
Of all like the fields that they had
Yes.
around them.
So
Yeah,
like
that's a bummer.
they're looking at the fields and it's also I mean in the South it's very, very difficult to spend time indoors because it's so fucking hot.
Right.
Well,
So-
it's interesting how the idea of like being on a porch to watch over your lands has changed to the idea of like porch time, which is now like the family gathers on the porch and
Yes.
we like it's unity and
It's
like
a
we're
unity
together.
time. Yeah.
It's strange how that has sort of transposed over the last 200, 300
Yeah,
years.
it is fascinating, and like so many people go out and drink on their porch. It's a
Yeah.
very, very common thing to do in the South. It's just like be like, hey, let's go out on the porch and have a cocktail.
I think a big reason for the railings, the wraparound railings, it's just more surface area for those pies that you have cooling.
Let's move on. What is on this next slide, Anthony?
Okay, this is Fort Sumter / Charleston Harbor.
Oh, the start of the Civil War.
Cannons.
Yeah, we also have a riverboat going by. Nice classic style riverboat. Kind of looks like somewhere you'd gamble. But in the foreground, we do have some cannons pointed out at the water, and then the old walls of Fort Sumter, where the Civil War began. It was the inciting incident for the Civil War when Confederate troops fired at a Union garrison that was in the fort, and then they cut off their supply lines, and it was actually involved again in the Civil War as a key piece later on in the battle. So it is a huge part of the history, and it's an man. The Civil War really started in South Carolina.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I want to say this is something interesting. What I'm about to say is interesting.
Yeah.
Have y'all ever noticed how, like, in ancient Rome or whatever, you have all of these, these ruins of millennia ago. And then, like, the ruins from, like, 150 years ago in America look exactly the same. Like, we're not aging particularly well. I'm worried about the ruins.
Well, I think it's like with all. I mean, it's just general dilapidation and not keeping up with
Yeah, I
just
don't think
building
they
stuff.
realized it was a historic site until like 100, almost like 50 or 60 years after it was done.
I think
That's fair.
it's very hard
But-
for rock to age well, and that's why Dwayne the Rock Johnson is so impressive.
The Titan
Almost
Game!
50 years old and looks great.
Nice.
Really great job, Brett.
Smack
Pulling
that
this
one
out.
down. Really good one. All right. What is on this slide, Anthony?
Here we have the Columbia River Walk. It's a nice stretch where I guess you can walk over some swamp. It almost has like an Everglades style feel, where there are trees that are kind of half submerged in water. And I think that this is probably a big place to throw a dead body.
So just to be clear, on this
Not
slide,
deep enough.
we're seeing a bridge going over a swamp, which is crazy.
It's actually
'cause-
not a swamp. This is actually the river. So that's the river. That's why they call it a river walk, because it's actually
well,
the river.
that might make sense.
It's all adding up.
It's all good. So it's a river that runs. I can't remember what the name of the river specifically is, but I think it actually might be the longest river in the state. It might be the Wateree. But either way, it's a really beautiful river, and it is actually really interesting because it's so shallow. It kind of looks like I know where you're coming from with like a swamp, because it kind of does look like it because it's so shallow.
It looks walkable.
Yes, it is very walkable. You could walk basically the entire span.
Looks like you could do a river walk.
basically.
Is this the Casey River?
It might be the Casey River.
Cayce.
Yes,
Is
that
this
might
the
be
Marnie River?
Moving on.
Here we have a beautiful shot of Caesar's Head State Park.
Hey.
Weird name for it, Caesar's Head, but it's got like a nice like auburn tinge to the leaves here, and then just some sweeping hills.
Yeah, it's a beautiful state park. It's
Gorgeous.
So I used to race road bikes when I was younger, and especially in high school. And this is one of the rides that we do most often. We'd go from the university, which is in Greenville, and we'd actually ride all the way to the top of Caesar's Head, which is like, so it's basically like a 3-hour ride, and it's like 120 miles, but it's a beautiful ride. It's like one of the most beautiful rides that you can possibly take. And it's actually super
I
cool.
love these. I mean, like, I think everybody in America is on the same page. And when it comes to national parks, it's always a disappointment when you see any sort of administration just like moving to get rid of them or sell them, especially when you see pictures like this where, like, even if your state has a lot to rag on, you show a picture and everyone's like, well, that's the shit. Good thing we still got that going on. Like, this is a gorgeous state park with the combination of like elevation, lowlands, and like beautiful foliage is like, this is what I picture a state park being. Love it.
Okay, so unfortunately, now we're going to go into some of the darker territories of South Carolina. The next picture, while it's going to be visually pleasing, it actually just is a piece of, the dark history of the state. So go ahead. Here we have a shot of some of the grounds at Magnolia Plantation and Garden. This is like on the property of one of the most famous plantations in the state. And I think even though it's beautiful and a lot of people have their wedding photo shoots here or the actual ceremonies, I kind of think that's fucked up to be celebrating a life occasion on the grounds where there was
human atrocities.
slave labor.
Like it's disgusting, the kind of things that happen here, and the fact that there are so many families still who, are the same descendants of the people who own that land and are now just using it as like, ooh, this is a wedding venue, or this is just like a great place for a concert or something. Like it's a little gross.
It's interesting because like I have seen this kind of often, but a lot of the time it's actually there's not a racial component to it. Like the people who are getting weddings here, it runs the gamut.
Interesting.
And I think that the reason for that is it's like almost there's a huge sense in South Carolina right now of like kind of owning your history in a different way. You know what I mean? So like there's a lot of people trying to take ownership of things that were atrocities that happened to them.
Especially if those things happen to it's I think a movement away from any sort of guilt or like the worst feelings that you get from thinking about like 4 generations back these kind of things were happening.
Yeah.
So like I think taking back like the power from those is really, really good. And if it's that standpoint that you're coming from, hell yeah.
Yeah, that to a certain degree. I mean, the problem is you're never going to be able to like fully justify anything that's happening right now because again, yes, the things that initially happened on these plantations were absolutely disgusting, but a lot of the time they're preserved as historic sites.
Yeah, but what I was reading in my research, it doesn't seem like this historical sites necessarily are presented in a way like admitting that it's a dark mark on the nation's history. It's more like this is a historical site that we've preserved in perfect condition.
Even the photos we're looking at right now, it's like we're looking at a classic photo and it looks gorgeous, but like it's the fact that they like have such upkeep to keep it looking in that pristine condition. It's like if you went to like Dachau or Auschwitz and they were like, well, we rebuilt all the buildings and everything so you can see how it looked in its prime, and you're like,
I don't want that.
No.
Yeah.
Well, so this is interesting because again, like, so I went to when I was in school, we actually went to specific plantations with our school.
Like a good thing.
Yeah, so we went to like we did field trips like as a school, and we went to Walnut Grove Plantation was one that we went to all the time, and I remember going actually multiple times. And the thing is, they would teach you the history about like the way that how things went down and like the way that. Like specifically how they did things back then. Like how did they build weapons or not weapons, but like like tools and stuff that they needed, and like or like how did they make milk? How did they do this? How did they do that? And also there was a very big part of it that was basically just like you can't like like they talked about the history and how shitty everything really was. And it's but it is interesting because it's like it's a really interesting kind of catch-22 because it's like, all right, we definitely need to learn about our history and effectively learn about our history, but it's also like, how do you do that without being able to see it?
I mean, it's the same thing as Confederate statues, right? It's the idea of like, how do you not glorify the past, but how do you make sure that you don't forget the fact that those things good happened. Or bad happen.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I think a lot of those wedding photos, I think a lot of the like the venue capital that's coming from a lot of these places seems more glory than just the memory part of it. But I do understand like it's a tricky line to fall on.
It doesn't seem reverent at all.
Sure.
Not reverent of, the practices, but reverent of the history.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there are so many other places that you can take a wedding photo with pretty flowers.
Yeah.
Like, why did you have to do it
Why
here?
do you have to do it
Go to Caesar's Head,
Yeah.
That was a beautiful state park. I don't know if you can shoot there, but all right, let's move on to the next slide just because we are short on time.
Yeah.
Okay, this is another dark piece of the current state of South Carolina. This is a photo showing some pro-Confederate flag protesters outside of South Carolina State House. This was during the period right after the Confederate flag had been taken down in 2015 following the shootings. And they, in that same year, even after that tragedy, there were still people clamoring for their tradition and going and waving the flag. And I did see in the same article where I pulled this photo from, there were like 3 people standing there to say, hey, no, it's a racist symbol. But there are at least like 25 people gathered around waving the flag.
I think that's an unfortunate sort of result of like a loud minority, I think. I would say most people do understand the weight of the flag. It's unfortunately this small group of people who like want it so much that they're willing to stand out in front of a fucking courthouse and wave their flags around.
Yeah, this is Columbia. I actually was one of the counter protesters at some of these. I was in school when a lot of this stuff was happening.
Wow, Anthony, you couldn't pull the picture where Liam's like getting arrested like Bernie or something? Like that would have been pretty cool.
No, I was like I did like 1 or 2 of these, and it was really it's heartbreaking. I mean, it's just one of those things like when you see these people out in front of your state house, and you're just like, this is so obvious. Like it doesn't. It's so obvious.
It's
and
like
yet,
it's so historically persistent too. Yeah. It's a constant coming out of the cave and then being fought back into the cave, and only to be like coming out what feels like 10 times stronger. It's just fucking annoying.
How fucking dare you have this kind of reaction when it was removed in the wake of a racial crime?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, I don't think there's really any...
It's disgusting.
There's zero moral high ground to stand in terms of the flag. I understand some people's, like, family wants to, like, honor, my great-great-grandfather fought in the Civil War, but it's like, seriously, you still have to, like, every time you say that, you should still say, like, but he lost and was fighting for the wrong reasons.
Yeah,
like...
right.
I think even those people who argue for, like, the historical significance of Confederate statues, plantations, the flag, it's like you are ignoring the historical importance of why this war was fought, what it means, and what your side fought for. Yeah. Like, you can't just change history because you want to honor your great-grandfather or something.
Yeah. It's fascinating because I didn't even know that the flag was on the state capitol until this whole controversy came about, and I was like, wait, why the fuck is it on the state capitol?
Exactly. I think most people reacted that same way of like, that can't still be up there, right? That makes no sense.
It makes no sense because it's like, effectively by putting it up, you're glorifying what it stood for. And there's really no other thing that it stood for besides the fact that like people have tried to do the thing where they try to say like, oh, like equate it to saying like, oh, it was also used for this thing, and like it's just a glory to the South. That's all it is, just the Southern pride. And I'm like, that doesn't. The problem is you can't just ignore other aspects of it to get to other things.
You can't divorce one part of its history from the other.
Exactly.
It is one and the same, and
100%.
It's really unfortunate that even to this day, the flag is still raised. The Confederate flag is still raised in this flagpole. At least once a year. It happened last year that they raised it to basically satisfy the secessionists.
And
because there is still a
unfortunately,
large presence of secessionist people there.
Sure.
Large enough to spur that forward.
Unfortunately, progress is really, really slow. And I like...
Especially in a state like ours.
Totally. Yeah, it's really understandable. And I think if there's anything to take away, it's at least that they're due... Even though there have been horrible atrocities in the past, and we're still discovering, like, oh man, there's still fucking flags in like 2015, we're still making small and noticeable strides to work towards not necessarily more liberal values, but it's certainly more
human
values.
Awareness.
It's funny because like I was also pretty sensitive to the fact that we are 4 white dudes talking about like racial
and it sucks that we're the ones
totally
here, like...
I agree, but the thing that I'm also take some solace in is the fact that like this is also a really cut and dry the things that we're talking about are cut and dry. It's like we're not talking about nuances. You know what I mean?
So.
Like,
I don't think any of us are on like the side of like there's good people on both sides here. I think we're all saying like this is fucked up.
Exactly.
And we're not trying to like be white knights here.
No.
We're just saying, like, fucking of course, don't fly that flag.
And if anything, I identify as a dark knight.
Oh, like Christian Bale. All right, let's move on to the next two slides.
Jesus.
Get to something a little lighter just to finish this off. Here's the world's largest fire hydrant. Not the largest working fire hydrant. That's somewhere in Texas.
Good.
But this is in Colombia. Weirdly large fire hydrant. You could see some. Ford trucks in the background there.
Yeah, I'm comparing them to the size of the Ford F-150, and I cannot believe the size of this hydrant.
It is really weird. It's just like a large phallic piece. It's definitely like the state overcompensating.
Well, it's a performance art. It's an art piece. It's like a.
Yeah, sure.
Anthony's staring at this and like stroking his thighs. What's on the next slide here?
Here we have the most important slide in the
Button
entire
King.
presentation. We had to talk about the Button King. This is at the Button King Museum in Bishopville. And
The Button King Museum?
Button King Museum. This man has several items and artifacts. He is just completely covered in buttons, and he's covered himself in buttons. I can't remember his name, but he is, without a doubt, the Button King.
Do you think he has a little baby button penis?
Oh my God.
I'm just throwing out the question. Do you, yes or no, Anthony, think this man has a baby button penis?
No, I think this man is most certainly hung. Let's.
Good for him.
So
might be right
it
about
looks
that.
like he has a hearse decked out, or is that just like an Oldsmobile kind
It
of
might
thing?
just be. It looks like it could be just. It honestly could be, but it looks like it might be just like a station wagon.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Regardless,
it's just,
yeah,
he's
this
playing a
is
guitar
still
covered in
awesome.
buttons.
Covered everything in buttons.
This man's a badass.
Yeah.
Hopefully he's still living. And then we have our final slide. Goodbye, South Carolina. See you later, alligator. One of my favorite news stories to come out of South Carolina was the golf course Super Gator that was wandering around. He's been seen multiple times. He's 12 feet long. They have some weird name for him, but you can see him very clearly interrupting someone's golf game. And
Super Gator.
what better message for the future of South Carolina? The natural world interrupting the privilege of the white man. Just taking itself back, reclaiming the state
Hell
for
yeah.
the natural world.
We are all gators rising from the swamp to eat again.
All right, well, that was great. I mean, 30 slides ended up not feeling as long as...
No, it was 18 slides. I was bluffing.
It was long regardless.
Oh wow!
No, it was
Thank
was
goodness.
trim. It was trim.
I was freaking out just about the entire time.
Tim got so mad that he had to check the slides.
Yeah, mid slideshow, I had to check the amount of slides that were on it.
Liam,
Or
was
where
there
we were.
anything visual that I missed that you would associate with the state off the top of your head?
That's an interesting question.
No, it was a perfect presentation, and I hit all
No,
that.
you fucking totally missed the BMW plant, which is like
That's
a
true.
big fucking deal. You totally fucking. No, I'm just kidding, dude. No, it was a really great slideshow. I think it was really awesome. It was pretty indicative of a lot of the parts of the state. Like you got the upstate, you got the low country, you got the Midlands. It was awesome, man.
Nice.
Out of 10
You got the shitty history.
how many Starbucks would Anthony's slideshow pop have?
I'd say give it an 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10 Starbucks.
Nice. You're an 8 Starbucks city.
All right.
not
Everyone's
bad,
caffeinated.
Okay.
Mostly.
So we're going to move on to our next regular segment. It's the taste segment, another one that the elder statesman, who is me, is in charge of permanently and forever. I've kind of gone above and beyond on this one. Recently, I've been feeling like I've been kind of slacking on some of these, and I'm going to make a stand right here, and this is an elder statesman proclamation right here, that I will never, ever skimp out on these taste segments ever.
That is an elder statesman proclamation.
Sorry, Spencer.
Yeah. Spencer, sorry. You
I heard
kind
tell
of...
of this.
Oh, man.
Sorry, Caitlin.
Yeah, sorry, Caitlin. Sorry, whoever I've gotten, like, berries or just nuts for. I feel really bad.
Berries and nuts.
Tim's things are either like he'll cook an entire meal or he'll like bring us what a hunter-gatherer society would eat like thousands of
Just
years
a
ago.
fucking bunch of squirrels would eat this shit.
So for this one, I really prepared a full Southern meal.
Yeah.
I've prepared for you all
Holy shit.
a lot of chicken, a lot of potatoes,
Yeah, dog.
some corn, and green beans. So I think what it's called is a meat and three.
Yeah, baby.
So I made you all a
Meat
meat
and three.
A meat and three.
Damn.
So on the chicken is Trader Joe's Carolina style barbecue sauce.
Oh, nice. So is it a mustard based?
It's a mustard base.
Yeah,
and I tried
baby.
it before. It's very delicious.
Yeah,
I haven't.
mustard base is pretty southern. It's mustard or I think vinegar is basically that's like I want to say that's like North Carolina. North Carolina is real big on the specifically vinegar based barbecue.
Now this isn't a distinct South Carolina barbecue sauce. It says just Carolina on the bottle, but it tastes delicious. I don't know how the chicken is cooked, but it is definitely cooked. It was at 175 degrees when I put the thermometer inside of it, so it is regulation above 165.
Stu's stepping away from his mic to play lunch lady. He threw on a hairnet and is giving us major attitude.
Hey, everybody, one at a time.
And then I've got corn. I've got loose like corn kernels, which I put some butter, some onion salt, some garlic powder on.
Seasoned.
So hopefully, and the green beans too are the same. They're the same ingredients. I don't think the potatoes are as done as I want them to be. I think they were a little bit raw in comparison to the chicken, but that's okay. They have a little bit of like that raw crunch, but still have some of the flavor in there. And it looks like Anthony and Liam are kind of digging in right now. I just got my plate.
Yeah, sorry to be rude and not
Here,
wait for everyone.
Stu,
but
you take this
wanted
one.
to keep things moving.
Okay, Stu is not going to take my plate, so we're just going to go ahead and dig in here. What do you think, Anthony? You're looking at the chicken kind of inquisitively.
I'm not trying to hurt your feelings. I think it might just be slightly undercooked, but the flavor is dynamite. I love that. I love that Carolina barbecue sauce. I think mustard-based barbecue sauce is some of the best because it gives it like a really distinct flavor and texture. I haven't gotten anything else on the plate yet, but I do really like that.
Yeah, it is a shame. I also have a little bit of an undercooked piece of chicken. That's too bad. Basically, what I did for this was I got raw chicken from Trader Joe's and I just kind of slapped it in the oven at 425 for 25 minutes. So I think
So it should be pretty cooked.
It should be pretty cooked. I don't feel any like super raw bits in there. Stu, get your mouth on this fucking chicken and let's.
Sorry, guys, I was AFK for just a second there while I served up everybody's food, but I'm back from outer space and I'm ready to put this chicken in my face. I know this is a lot of dead air, but it's kind of just because we're all eating like a full southern meal at the moment.
Meat and three.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely will say like it's it tastes like a southern meal. You captured a lot of the essence. I think the biggest thing I'd say about the chicken is like the thing is in the South when we put barbecue sauce on our chicken, it is doused.
That's what I was gonna say as well. This tastes a little more like just a baked chicken with a slight a slight hint of that barbecue.
Yeah.
I'm used to like that 3-day.
Ooh,
This has
baby.
been
Yeah, you gotta marinate it.
Well,
Yes.
and it's also the barbecue sauce that I love, the mustard-based barbecue sauce that I love is super thick. It's a really, really thick glaze, so it would be like it would be dribbling down your mouth kind of thick. You know what I mean? So that's one thing. But I mean, this is what I would call a really, really classic, like an old school Southern meal. Like this isn't necessarily.
This is the godfather of Southern meals.
Well,
right?
and I say that because of the fact that like the loose kernels of corn and stuff like that. That's a really like old South type of thing. Like normally new school, like if you're gonna have corn, it's gonna be in a different form. You're gonna usually have
Like
it
on the cob?
Yeah, you'll do it on a cob, or you'll do it on like how else would you do it? You do it like. Some people do creamed. I'm not a big fan of cream corn. I'm glad you didn't try to do cream corn.
Yeah, me neither.
But there's several ways of preparing it. But honestly, one of the most ubiquitous is like people just. God, I love the word ubiquitous today. I don't know what it is.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say the biggest thing is cornbread.
Ooh,
Cornbread
that's
is
true.
like
very, very southern. So,
Yeah, I don't have a starch on this.
Nah,
on this
you're
guy.
good.
Well, no, I have potatoes, but I definitely agree with like a little bit more of a breaded something.
Now,
Yeah.
here's what I'll say. I think the corn and green beans, very solid.
Delicious.
They're delicious.
Yeah,
that
they're
one
good.
is really
That's-
good.
And it reminds me. That's why I say like it really reminds me of Old South.
I would
Like
say-
if you go to like really, really like it's the barbecue joints that have like these plastic tables and like they have like plastic folding chairs and they're a real restaurant, but they only do they have everything that's like, you know, just shit that they got from Home Depot right before the store opened, and that's your seating, and that's the stuff that you see as a menu. It's like literally just a piece of paper with just a bunch of shit
So
printed on it.
Tim's meal today is getting compared to like what I would call classic Southern barbecue.
Exactly.
And I mean, how do we want to rank if it's successful or not? How do we want to figure it out?
I can give you this little bit of information. 1, I've never cooked chicken in the oven. 2,
Okay.
I've never made any barbecue. 3, I haven't made any of this stuff on the plate ever, like in my entire life.
So this is all your. I mean, you went all out.
This
new.
is a first shot. Never tested out any recipes or anything like that. I just went straight into it. What do you guys think?
I think this plate reminds me of the 2006 Family Values tour because corn is the dominant feature on the plate.
I feel like we talk about that Family Values tour like every month.
Listen, a huge moment in my life. A huge moment in my life. Happy I was there. But I think the potatoes are drastically raw. I
They
feel
are
like
drastically raw.
I'm biting into just like a fresh out of the ground potato there.
Yeah.
So I think that that's something you have a lot of room for improvement on, and I'm sure you will because you're an excellent cook. The chicken, I think, also could use like a little more time. Definitely some like pre-marination, like a day at least in that sauce just to steep and like really take the flavor in. And then maybe just like a hint more seasoning when it comes out. But I think, you know, for a first attempt, this is great. I always like chicken off the grill, but obviously we don't have a propane grill to like fire up or a charcoal grill or something.
Yeah, I mean, we have a traditional fire pit, but we're trying to step away from that as we're learning more about the climate change.
The veggies, aside from the potatoes, are winners for me. I love the way you did the corn. I think you should bring that back as a side dish.
I'll say the biggest sign of respect you might be able to get is that it looks like Liam's kind of cleaning up his plate.
That's true.
It's really good.
Yeah, so I say let's just ask our local. I think out of, you guys know how many Emmy nominations girls got?
I don't know. Let's just say like 65.
Too many.
Out of 65 possible Emmy nominations for Lena Dunham's Girls, how many Emmys do you give this? Remember, it's getting the nominations no matter what.
Right.
This is about wins.
Right. Okay. Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yes.
All right. How many wins does it get? I'd give it like it's got a solid. This is such a weird scale. Like 45, 50?
Rad. Okay. I mean, that's like a 2 out of 3.
Yeah. Because the thing
respectable.
is, like, I think the essential elements of each thing are there. It really comes down to, yes, cooking time for sure. But the way that you prepared it is like pretty standard. Like that's the good stuff. Basically.
I think skill and experience are also going to come in on
Yes.
that. So the fact that you're doing all these things for the first time, not only do we respect it as, you know, your I don't know, your eaters, but we also respect it as fellow podcasters.
Oh, awesome.
And friends.
And friends.
And
Well, I appreciate
friends.
that. I think this is going to come back. This is definitely going to, like, this meal prep is going to make a comeback because whenever I look up, like, other southern states, like Georgia is exactly
it's
is
pretty
exactly a
similar.
meat and 3.
Yeah. It's
So
very
I might
similar.
you know, bring this back for a North Carolina one or maybe
Totally.
a Tennessee or something like that.
Totally. Yeah, I would definitely say like there are a couple of sides that are very specific. Like the one thing I would say is like for South Carolina, the real side that is always known, especially for like classic barbecue like this, is collards.
Collards.
Collard greens every time.
Right.
They're always there, and they're always like, and you can judge a place by how good its collards are.
Interesting.
I'd love to see what Tim could do. I assume you've never made that before.
I've never had a collard green before.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah.
When prepared correctly.
Yeah.
You can screw up collards.
And you can go bad.
Yeah,
Like,
you can go really bad on collards. Like I've thrown up eating a collard, like
Ooh.
just been like, "Ugh," like I couldn't do it,
Gross.
type of thing. Yeah. So like it can go bad, but when it's good, it is real good.
All right, so I've gotten 2/3 of my Emmys. I'm one of the hottest HBO shows there is around. But I'm not gonna revel too much in my glory. I'm going to hand it off to Stuart's audio segment.
Yeah, baby.
there was only one way to start this segment. Everybody at the table is going fucking crazy right now.
Fist in the air.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah. Yeah.
The clubs.
Yeah. South Carolina, are you ready?
Man, what a fucking legendary song.
That's right. And I mean, Darude, I don't think from South Carolina, but they play Sandstorm before. Is it every single Gamecock game?
Every single Gamecock
Fuck yeah.
football game.
I-
Hell yes.
I-
Williams-Brice Stadium is always jumping with Sandstorm.
I learned about the Sandstorm thing and that they play it. Do you know why?
I have no fucking clue. I know. I wish I fucking knew because when I first went to a game and I was like, what the fuck is happening? Like everybody, because the thing is, everybody is jumping up and down on the bleachers. Like the whole stadium is shaking because they're all jumping, doing this with their fist.
It's a fucking.
And
it's a certified banger.
it's really good. It's really good, and everyone fucking goes ham. And like that USC. As soon as that beat drops, you're gonna hear that for the rest of the song.
I gotta ask, when did that song come out?
Oh boy. I mean, I can try and go back and find it, but if I'm not mistaken, it looks like it was posted on YouTube 9 years ago. So but I bet before that. Even.
Yeah, I would say it's
yeah,
like an
no.
80s song, I
Oh
thought.
no, it's not an '80s song. No,
No,
I
but
imagine
definitely-
it as like a 2001 club
Yeah.
banger. Like
Oh,
this is
really?
Ibiza, this is hard Molly, and this is like you're getting railed by anybody.
This is a song that every time it played at one of my middle school dances, a pit would open up. People were,
you
all
pounding,
dance?
people were pounding the
A
floor.
hole in the floor.
No,
And
no.
demons would
You
come
open
out
up
and
the
fuck
fucking
you?
pit, people would mosh. People would pump
Yeah.
their fists. People would get sexually aggressive in a very
Jesus.
uncomfortable
But
way.
I get that. Like, I don't
lot
get
of
that
grinding.
last part, but I like understand the idea that like when this starts playing, and I think it's a great song before a football game.
Oh, yeah.
because
Right.
it gets your
Oh, it's-
heart
oh, and it's-
fucking racing.
It's not even just before too. Like that's the thing. They play it during the game, and they play it fucking after the game, baby.
Absolutely.
So they've
all
just
phases,
they've
motherfucker.
co-opted the Gamecocks have co-opted
Yes.
this song just to be their theme.
Yeah, they just use it. Like,
they-
and I don't know if the one truth or the one thing is I don't know if they use it for basketball or baseball. I don't think that they do. I think
didn't
the
see anything
only
about it.
sport that they use it for is football. And
But
that's
is it not the coolest? Like,
It's
what's
hilarious.
what's your school song? You know, your fight song. And it's like, well, you know, Sandstorm.
But I have a question. Do
Yeah.
they play this during games where they're losing? Or
Unfortunately,
after
they
a
play
crushing
it,
loss?
but it's in a minor chord and it's very slow.
It's backwards.
No, 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 no. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. All right, let's move on to some different music that is maybe listenable.
Can't you see?
Oh, yes.
Can't you see what that woman she's been doing to me?
So this is the Marshall Tucker Band. Big in the late 60s.
big in the
that's-
frat boy scene?
Still, yeah, today, which is interesting. It's made a weird transition from like really existential cowboy sad music
Yeah.
to like that's like a home run for white guys these
Oh
days. is
hell
Marshall
yeah,
Tucker.
dog! Yeah, white dudes who have way too much money and don't know anything about anything.
Yeah.
Are you?
Oh,
This
they're
seems like
Marshall
you're
Tucker.
speaking like. Have you met a lot of these people?
Oh fuck me, dude! They are everywhere. They are everywhere. Well, not only in just like the state in general, but especially at the University of South Carolina. Because the thing is, at the school, there's just a separate dedicated area for the Greek village. And I don't know if that's true of a lot of schools. I feel like it's kind of rare.
Yeah, I
Like
feel
a
like
sorority row.
Definitely at big schools like University
Yeah.
of South Carolina. That will come
it's a
into
big
being
deal.
because
Yeah.
like nobody else wants to live. Nobody wants to be Seth Rogen in Neighbors and be their neighbors.
Exactly. Nobody wants that. And they're called so we call them the Greek village. Like
Right.
that's the name of that area. And I swear to God, I've heard that song so many fucking times having to drive past that on the way to the fucking gym. Like,
That's sad because it is a really good song, and
It's a
I hate that
beautiful
it's I hate
song.
that
Yeah,
it's
I just
associated
completely-
with, like,
yeah.
And it's like a
Fratty
beautiful song
douchebag.
about like sadness and like understanding
I have
and loss.
I have no idea what this song is about.
I don't know how the hell it made a transfer to like a kind of a cool party song.
Also, when
Yeah.
you watch the videos of this band performing it live, the Marshall Tucker band, the guitarist was
Marshall
so
Tucker.
nimble.
Yeah, main guy.
No.
He sings and plays the lead guitar, I believe.
No, there was another guy who was the lead guitarist. I think.
But go for it.
I think Marshall Tucker was another guy in the band, or just somebody that they were referencing. But I think I might be mistaken, but I pretty much believe it's a different guy. But anyway, the way that he would just play with such nimble fingers, they would just like fly around his fretboard, and it was like a true joy to watch. And he wasn't focusing on it actively at all. It was just like he was so involved in his vocal performance.
Yeah. First of all, there is not a Marshall Tucker in the band. I
Right.
went for it on that one. You might be thinking of Toy Caldwell, but
Yeah, that's who it was.
The band itself, you might be interested in this one, Liam. Actually formed in Spartanburg.
No shit. Oh, I knew that. Yeah, because my sister actually took lessons in drums from
Their
the
drummer?
original drummer. Yeah.
Holy
Fucking
shit.
Shit.
Yeah, I
Still
forgot
there.
about that shit. Yeah, he
holding
still
it
lives
down
there.
after all those years.
Holding it down. Yeah, I forgot about that shit. I
Well-
was like, wait a minute. Because I always forget the specifics of that situation, and I'm always like, oh, you played drums with someone who knew, like he knew the guy who played drums, but I think he actually was the legit drummer. Yeah.
Well,
that's pretty
we
cool.
we got to get into it a little bit on the fact that the Marshall Tucker Band has become a white guy staple, but I want to talk about a band that it seems like from beginning to end has always been a white guy staple.
I can't wait.
Walk the road a while, 'cause I got a hand for you. I got a hand for you. I wanna run with you. Won't you let me run with you?
So Anthony, I can tell, is super jazzed about hearing Hootie and the Blowfish.
That's right, baby. Well, look at these tie-dyed shirts. There's so many fucking tie-dyed shirts out here. I'm telling you, y'all, that's correct. Yes.
What do you guys think of Hootie? Darius
Jesus.
Rucker.
I don't like Darius's solo career nor Hootie and the Blowfish. They're not for me.
Nah, I mean,
I'm not impressed by them. It's not my style of music, and never will be.
Yeah, I've never listened to Hootie and the Blowfish intentionally.
me neither.
I didn't recognize that song at all.
I knew what it was because I know Darius Rucker's voice because he is.
Yeah.
Again, like the thing is, all of this stuff, it's so interesting because if I didn't go to the University of South Carolina, I think all 3/4 of the shit that I know about the stuff that you brought up, I would not know.
Here's the thing, though. I think this specifically was made for those college guys because Darius Rucker is one of those first singers in the 90s to bring in just that like vowel singing. And that is the only way to sing if you are, really kind of plastered
Yeah.
and at a party and you're like, yeah. So it sucks, but
It is what it is.
They're doing hella fine.
Yeah, they're doing just fine. And they are also, so like they're a Columbia institution too. Like the thing is, the whole city usually just gets up whenever Hootie and the Blowfish come into town.
Yeah,
It's
good
like,
for them. I'm glad
Yeah.
that locals like
Totally.
them. And
they love them. Yeah. And they've got like statues and shit all over the city. It's fucking ridiculous. in
right next to
Columbia.
that giant fire hydrant.
Exactly.
Okay, this next thing, although not technically written by anyone from South Carolina, this is, well, I'll just play it and let you guys hear.
Days like this are getting harder to find. We're long on life, but short on time. When I get a chance to kick back and unwind, I live for Myrtle Beach Day.
Turn this off.
Myrtle Beach
No.
Days got blue in the sky.
I second this notion. Turn this off.
Ocean breeze blowing by.
Let's
Just
go. Let's
sitting
move
the
on.
sand, soaking up the
So that,
no fucking idea what that was.
yeah, that's actually a commercial for Visit Myrtle Beach. It's just an
amazing.
ad for the beach, but I thought it I don't know. I thought it kind of embodied the whole idea of Myrtle Beach.
I agree with you.
Unlistenable, pretty annoying, vaguely Southern, but like
Yeah, very vague.
clearly from somewhere else.
Yeah, the fact that he called it Myrtle Beach iced tea, that's because no fucking buddy else drinks that shit. Nobody else drinks that shit.
Myrtle Beach iced tea is
Myrtle Beach.
just boiled cum.
Myrtle Beach iced tea is a nice cup full of water with a used condom in it. Dude, fuck that. What a detractor that song is for the
The song is
tourism
detritus. It's
Yeah.
just full detritus.
It's very bad. I mean,
terrible.
I'm going to be honest with you guys. It was a little bit hard to find sounds that are encapsulating of the state, but I've talked to my other statesmen about this, and this is probably the first time that I'm going to be doing this, and hopefully it goes forward successfully. But I've been doing a lot of music so far in the podcast history, and I want to expand the reach of my sound segment. I want to explore other things that you can listen to that give you the experience of the state. And so this first thing I have is actually a news interview with someone from South Carolina. Now, he might have been raised and came to fame in Augusta, Georgia, but of course, James Brown was born in South Carolina, was there for a few years as a boy. And James Brown, known as one of the hardest working men in show business, of course, dead now, but in...
one of the hardest working man.
I'm sorry, man. I bet I can name one person who works harder than him.
Dwayne
The Rock
Dwayne
Johnson.
the Rock. Da-da-da-da.
So this is, I just want to play a few clips from an interview from 1988 where James Brown is wearing, I just want to show this to you guys, like,
Oh my god, this interview is the best!
yeah.
Fashion icon.
Oh,
This
you
shit
guys.
James Brown
Holy
is
shit.
clearly
Holy
out of his
shit.
fucking brain,
Yes.
and I just want to play you a couple of clips.
A lot of that nose candy, baby.
Okay, so to start things off, this is just sort of him getting an introduction to the show, and I want to see if you guys can hear any really uncomfortable pauses in the host's conversation.
Joins us from Atlanta to discuss the charges, and we welcome you, James Brown. How did all of this trouble begin?
Living in America. There's nothing wrong.
Nothing wrong at all. You're not in any difficulty, but you're out on bond.
No, I'm not.
Oh man, I wish you guys could hear the whole thing. It is absolutely nuts. Like there is nothing sane about anything.
James
he
Brown
says.
does not answer any questions. He just keeps quoting his song title. Listen to this extended little bit from about halfway through the interview.
What'd you say?
The women love you when you get out there.
Why is that, ladies?
Well, I'm asking you.
Huh? Because
Why
I
do you
look
think
good.
that is? You
I
look
smell
good.
good. I
Yes.
feel good.
And you sing good.
And make love good.
Oh. Well, there we are. We don't have to ask anybody else. We got that from the source. There you are. Now you're
Is that
involved in
Liam?
publishing a gospel magazine.
There are a few times in this interview where James Brown just screams into this lapel mic. And that's,
Yeah, it does sound like me.
That's the energy that I want to leave the sound segment with, is James
man.
Brown just screaming into a mic. I really
Straight up.
respect that, and I think it stands for all of South Carolina.
I like
It
the
does. It really
expansion.
does.
I think it's
Yeah.
going to be an interesting kind of thing to explore going forward.
It was incredible.
Let's see what's next week, baby. But generally, in terms of music and sound, Liam, how do you think I did?
I think you captured one specific, like group in South Carolina very well, like white frat dudes. You got that down, but everyone else you kind of skipped over. But that's cool. It's fine. I think the biggest thing is like there's a lot of blues in the South Carolina, and there's a lot of like. Well, you know, I don't know. It's hard for me to like quantify. But anyway, I thought you did pretty well.
A lot of blues in South Carolina. Look no further than the flag.
Oh my God!
God, I hate you with everything I have, Anthony.
All right,
hate
let's
you
move on.
so
Yeah.
much.
Okay, so we've gone through the smell of South Carolina. We've gone through the visuals of it. We've tasted some stuff. We've listened to some stuff. So,
The flag is blue.
Yeah, we know.
oh my God.
I'm gonna beat you.
Are
with
you
the flag.
serious? Are you serious
God.
right now?
Anthony is losing it.
You're losing it from a blue flag?
The flag is blue, and Anthony's turning beet red.
Okay.
Tim, move us on. You got to be a senior statesman.
I am off my game. I'm totally thrown off.
I'm
Okay,
gonna take you to the south, Anthony. I swear to God.
So
I'll
we've
take
done-
you down south.
we've done all
Sorry, go ahead.
Go.
we've done all of the senses. Mm-hmm. And now we'd like to wrap up the show by exploring how the state has touched our hearts. So we're going to go in a circle, and we're just going to say briefly how the state has touched our hearts, starting with Anthony, then to Liam, to Stu, then to myself. Anthony.
South Carolina, I was a little worried about talking about this one just because I have a real hatred for a large portion of its history and a large portion of the worst of the worst who live there. Unfortunately, I think that it is a state that it was founded on racism, built upon racism, and is still structured in a way that promotes it, and has a deep undercurrent of it in its culture ingrained. I don't think it's the only thing that it has to offer, but I do think that it has a net negative it was a net negative for the United States in just everything that we've touched on. And its recent history just goes to show you that there are still deep problems there. So hopefully, going forward, we'll have more of that Myrtle Beach fun and less of the painful memories. And hopefully people can progress and grow up and become more modern. But one thing I just want to touch on is that flag. It is blue and white, but yes,
You need to fucking grow up.
so we have Myrtle Beach, and we have Myrtle Beach and Marshall Tucker too.
You really gonna extend this?
We have Myrtle Beach and Marshall Tucker too, but above all else, that flag is blue. Thank you.
How long did it take you to do that?
He's been writing
He's
in a
been waiting
notebook
it.
for so long. Liam, how has the state touched your heart?
How can you follow that, Liam?
Jesus Christ. So here's the deal. I'm from there, obviously. So like a lot of the structural issues that are still happening in the South, it's really difficult to talk about without talking about how much of this is definitely self-harm that has been done by the South, because the thing is, their structural issues are so deep and ingrained, especially the education issues, because it's one of the poorest states in the Union. And that's not for, and there's a very specific reason for that. And the thing is it's the way that it's run and the way that the issues continue to, sort of, pile on top of themselves. It can feel kind of impossible, because the thing is, I do love the state. I wanted to leave it so bad because I hated it so much. But the time away has made the heart grow fonder. And I do love it. It's the biggest issue is it is just it has so much still to do before it becomes like, before the best of it is really represented in the way that it should be, because it hasn't reached that point yet.
Could you ever see yourself going back to South Carolina to live?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I love it. And in fact, I would like to be an agent of change for South Carolina and the city that I'm from specifically too.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Wow.
That's
Well,
good.
I think in South Carolina certainly touched my heart today, and I'm not going to strive for my own words to describe it, although, Anthony, yours were beautiful. Instead, I'll leave, one of the hardest working men in show business to say it for me.
Well,
I feel good.
It sounds to me as though you're not troubled by any of this at all.
This is a man's world.
Thanks for reminding us of that. Every once in a while, we forget.
Get up
but
off
we've
of that
remembered again. James, good luck on your tour. Thanks for being with us. I guess we're going to hear lots more.
Hasta luego.
Jesus Christ.
Oh man. Okay, so South Carolina has has done something to my heart. I don't know about touched it, but it definitely grazed it with a hot, fiery bullet. I don't know. I really don't have much to say about South Carolina other than that. The politics that come out of there are just like truly some of the most indignant, unjustified, just sad, persistent, and I'm going to go back to my great word that I used earlier, like a Lazarus of bad ideas. So they just keep coming back, and it's got to fucking stop. And I want to call out, and I know we don't get political on this podcast, but the virtue signaler Lindsey Graham, who's a senator of South Carolina, can eat a fat dick.
Oh yeah.
Fuck him.
Yeah, he sucks.
Lindsay's a girl's name.
Also, worse is actually the other senator from South Carolina.
I didn't even look him up.
It is a deeply red state, but the flag itself is blue.
I don't know who the other senator is. Tim Scott?
No, not Tim Scott. Tim Scott's okay. He's fine. It's oh God, and I hate him so much. I forgot his name. He's like the one for Spartanburg and Greenville.
Oh, like
he's
the
like the
governor.
upstate. Well, no.
Well,
He's
someone
not
in the House of Representatives, I assume.
No. He is a U.S. senator. He just is from that district.
Oh, he's not a South Carolinian senator.
Gotcha.
He is a U.S. senator.
Oh, you're thinking of Frank Underwood.
Oh, God. Okay.
Basically.
So, yeah, South Carolina really hasn't touched my heart at all. It's really disappointing that such a beautiful landscape can give way to such, like, just terrible, backwards-ass beliefs. So anybody who's living in South Carolina would like to be an agent of change like Liam. I implore you to do so. But in any case, if you have any questions or concerns about the great 50 states or the Statesmen, reach out to us on Twitter at StatesmanPod, on Instagram and Facebook at Statesman Podcast, or by email at statesmanpodcast@gmail.com. Please like and rate us highly and share us with your friends. It helps the show out a lot. So, Liam, thanks you for so much for coming on the show. This
thanks,
was
man.
a fucking great time.
Yeah, thanks.
Despite the history. But do you have any plugs for us?
No.
Cool.
Okay, great.
Well, Tim, Stu, Liam is a part of special counsel with
Oh,
Spencer
shit.
and I.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll have some more shows coming up, doing
Yes,
some
we
sketch
will.
or some improv shortly. But
And you guys are where? Where will you be performing normally?
just around. We always
Pick
post
up
about
gigs
it.
when we can. Yeah.
Yeah, so nothing on the books right now, but we'll be kind of ramping that up soon.
Yes.
And Liam, just see him wherever you can. He is out there hustling, and he is just one of the most contagiously friendly people.
Yeah, I mean, if you're interested, Liam's going to be playing 3-Card Monty at the Belmont stop in about an hour and a half.
Oh, yes.
He's a ray of sunshine. So, Liam, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, we got into some
Thanks,
dark
guys.
subjects, but I think they're both necessary to be talked about.
Yeah.
And, I mean, that's not all we talked about, baby. Do I have to play Sandstorm again?
No.
I did at the beginning. I'll do it
I'm
again.
playing it.
So, on behalf of my junior statesman, Anthony Rossi, and Stuart Highcar, I'm your elder statesman, Tim Ferrari. Happy stating.
Blue flag.
Gonna watch girls.